Welcome in the video. I am Dr. Vinita Bhadoria, Associate Professor of English, Government College, Behror. In this video, I am going to explain few stanzas of the poem Obituary and a brief introduction of Obituary, the poem written by A.K. Ramanujan. Obituary appeared in the collection of poems Relationship. It is written in mock ironic tone. Obituary literally means a piece of writing about somebody's death, especially in newspaper, and brief biography of a deceased person. The poem is written on the death of his father. The poet explains how his death has affected his family and what he means his father, has achieved in his life. These are seen through the repetition of assonance and consonance. This means that either a vowel or consonant sound is used within one line or multiple lines of words. In this poem, Ramanujan makes use of slant and half rhymes. Obituary is a poem about the passing away of the poet's father. The poet, Ramanujan, muses on the passing away of his father, who seems to have had no achievement to his credit in this life. The only legacy his father left was debts, daughters, and dusty legal documents. The poet does not seem to have any genuine regard or affection for his father. The death and cremation of his father does not stir any deep emotions in the mind of the poet. In fact, he describes these things in a mocking manner. He says that there was nothing worth recording about his father's life, but he heard from someone that there were a couple of lines by way of obituary in a third rate newspaper used mainly for packing provisions. The only change produced by his father's death was that his mother had to wear a widow's garb. Moreover, it became obligatory for him to perform certain periodic religious ceremonies. Death is a solemn event. The poet, however, seemed to treat the solemn event of his father's death in a mocking manner or in sarcasm. Even if his father had wasted his own life and left the poet debts and liabilities, the poet has no justification to describe his father's death and cremation in this mocking manner. Even though the poem reveals poet's great poetic gifts, we feel that the poet shows bad taste in treating this solemn subject with scant respect. Obituary by Ramanujan is an 8 stanza poem that is separated into sets of 7 lines. These lines do not follow a specific rhyme scheme, but that does not mean that there are not movements of rhyme and rhythm in the text. For example, he makes use of slant or half rhymes. These are seen through the repetition of assonance or consonance. This means that either a vowel or consonant sound is reused within one line or multiple lines of words. There are a few examples of this kind of rhyme in the first stanza with the words papers and daughters and on and grandson. These words do not rhyme perfectly, but they are clearly similar. In the fourth stanza, the ending of the first 3 lines are connected due to a similarity in assonance. Alliteration is another technique found in obituary. It helps to create additional movements of rhyme for the text and also at times helps support the tone. One example is debts and daughters in the first stanza. The relationship between these two words is somewhat humorous and the fact that they begin with the same letters only emphasizes this fact. Now, the poem and its explanation. Father, when he passed on, left dust on a table of papers. Papers, legal documents, left debts and daughters, a bedwetting grandson named by the toss of a coin after him. This is the first stanza of 7 lines. In this stanza, the poet begins by telling the reader who died is his father. The speaker focuses on what the father left behind. There were utterly normal things that have taken on importance, such as dust on a table of papers. Table of papers, table on which the legal papers are left, and debts and daughters. Debts and daughters, unmarried daughters. The father also left behind a grandson named after him. Little details, like the fact that the grandson was named after him because of a toss of a coin, are interesting and bring the reader closer to the poet's family. Second stanza of the poem. A house that leaned slowly through our growing years on a bent coconut tree in the yard. Being the burning type, he burned properly at the cremation. In this stanza, the poet gives the list of things the father left behind. There was a house that had been leaning slowly throughout the speaker's years. It is on a coconut tree in the yard. In the next line, there are a number of things the burning could allude to. Practices associated with faming are the most obvious. To make it more complicated and relate it more easily to the laws, the poet compares his father's habit of burning to the way he burned promptly when he was cremated. The humor here lightens the mood a bit and tells the reader that the speaker is not intending to speak too heavily on the loss and depression. Instead, he is celebrating his father's. He burned properly. He burned properly means his father's body burnt away quickly on the funeral pyre. Perhaps he was a lean and a thin person. Burning type, the word used in this stanza. Burning type, the old man lived a fast life, burning the candle at both ends. Third stanza. As before, easily and at both ends, left his eyes coins in the ashes that didn't look one bit different. Several spinal discs, several spinal discs, several round bits of metal, rough, some burned to coal for sons. In these lines, the poet refers to the eye coins. This is related to the tradition of putting coins on a dead person's eyes when they are buried, or in this case, before they are cremated. He draws attention to the fact that the coin didn't burn. They were left in the ashes, looking the same as when they went into the fire. Alongside the coins are several round bits of metal. These are coins. These, unlike the coins, are rough. So in these three stanzas, poet makes use of alliteration and assonance. and his tone is sarcastic throughout the poem or throughout these three stanzas. In form, this poem is most irregular. Like much of Indo-Anglian poetry, the lines vary in length, different in length, and rhyme has not been used at all. If one line consists of 7 words, there are other consist of 2 words and even 1 word. Then the use of capital letters at the beginning of the lines has also been avoided. So there is no regular rhythm and rhyme scheme in this poem. In this video, I have explained you a little introduction of the poet and I explained you 3 stanzas of the poem. Remaining stanzas I will discuss in the next video. That is all in this video. Thank you.